when I think about my village that's really strong and big for me right now is my GSOC sisters, Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective. And so there are 5 of us, right? In 5 of us in spirit. We just lost one, my sister Nia, back in September, but we've been going since 2010, right? And what keeps us strong and united is the fact that we all are mutually and equally passionate about culture and about Kwanzaa and Nguzo Saba, but we have different skill sets, right? So Tanya, for instance, is our vendor coordinator, right? She's the business-minded entrepreneur. She communicates, she gets all of that popping. There's something that's got to do with businessy stuff, particularly, like I said, with small businesses and owners. That's her, right? Dandara is our programming director. Like, she's the arts and entertainment. She knows those people. You need a drummer, boom. You need a this, boom. You need a this, boom. This is what we should do. This is how we're going to decorate the altar. She's all things aesthetically beautiful and powerful, right? And the arts in that way. And Mama J is our community outreach person. She's going to make sure everybody's in place. She's going to love everybody in the community, and she makes sure we're gonna be fed, right? She handles the food and all that stuff, and I'm the public relations coordinator, right? And so that came about because of these worlds that I navigate, right? I'm the Bronx chick, but I'm also the PhD. I'm also the professor, and so I know how to navigate these spaces. I know how to sit on the fence and be real with my homies and real with the chancellor at the same time. I know how to navigate those spaces, and everybody doesn't know how to do that, and that's okay, right? And that's okay. And so we all kind of fell into position naturally, and then we named it, right? One day we had that real conversation. I think that's important too, naming it, being awareness, right? This is my skill set. I'm not going to do that. You do that. I remember Sis Nia, we were talking about that. It was our first Kwanzaa celebration, and the news came, and they were just interviewing, and she was one of the co-founders, and she was like, "Well, I talked to the news," and then she said all this amazing, incredible stuff, and then the clip they showed was of her saying, "Let's get Kwanzaa cranking," right? But she was talking about all this stuff and about how we came to be and how we had this conversation. We were like, "Come on, y'all, let's get Kwanzaa cranking." So. But the clip they showed was just, "Let's get Kwanzaa cranking," as if that's all she said, right? And I remember her saying, "I don't want to talk to them no more. Dawn, you do that." I don't want to talk to them no more, right? Dawn, you do that. And because I'm very aware, like, okay, I know how news works. I know they're going to take sound bites. They're going to take snippets. So you have to be seamless. Everything that you say has to be sound bite worthy. And I'm willing to play that game. She wasn't willing to play that game.
Right.
And guess what? I'm glad, right? Like she's going to do this part. She's our fiscal sponsor. She's managing all kinds of other stuff. She's like, y'all do that. Right. And so I think that's an important part of the village too, is that awareness of who you are and understanding that you're not supposed to do everything. The best leaders are master delegators. The best leaders are master delegators. The best leaders don't do everything.
Right.
They put people in place. They know, they be like, oh my goodness, I'm seeing you do X, Y, and Z, and you are killing that. So can you handle X, Y, and Z for us? Oh my goodness. The way you just did A and B, you bananas with that. Nobody does A and B the way you do A and B. Can that be your thing? Can you yo, C and D over there, you are killing the C and D game. Nobody, can anybody do C and D like that? Nope. All right, okay, you the C and D queen. And you got everybody feeling, and it's authentic. I'm not lying that you do X, Y, and Z like that, and you do A and B and you do C, because that's real. But a leader can see the beauty in other people. They see the amazingness in other people. Leaders are not arrogant. It's not just about me. I'm not the only one who can talk to people. No, because guess what? Yes, I'm the public relations coordinator. That's my skill. But I don't know what's happening with them vendors. I don't know how to navigate the small vendors and how many tables we got, how much they paying. How they gonna set up? I don't, you know,
Right.
I'm gonna move to the side when it's time for that. When it comes time to navigating the forms and organizing, that's TP. That's what she does, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's really important for us, and so it's leaders, especially in a village, is to see other people's amazingness. That's one of the best things that you can do as a leader, is to step back and be willing to see the bigger picture, right? It's to step back. It's like to be Obatala on a mountain, looking down, looking on everybody. And again, it's not looking down, but it's looking out and seeing, wow, look how beautiful everything is. Look at the trees. Look at the purpose that the trees serve. Trees don't try to be flowers. Trees are amazing trees, and flowers are amazing flowers, and grass and deer. Like, everything plays its part. And that's what I think leadership is. It's about seeing how everything plays its part. I think the best leaders, again, are master delegators. They see and they welcome and they encourage and they motivate and they navigate spaces in ways that helps other people see their value. It helps other people see their value. When you're with a strong leader, you feel like you're the best thing on the world. Think about it. I think about bosses I've had in my career. The best leaders were the ones who made me, who, when I was in their presence, I felt like I was the queen of Winston-Salem State University,
right?
Or whatever institution I was at. I felt like I was the queen. I really wasn't. But in my head I was, but not in real life I wasn't. But they made me feel that way because they always made me feel like my contribution was invaluable. And that what I was doing and the way I was doing it was essential to the inner working of the village, right? Yeah. And that's in and out of an institution, right? Whatever institution, but even in your personal community, you just gotta see people's beauty. And again, this is not about blowing people up unnecessarily. I'm not lying to people, right? This is about, and that's the thing. If you gotta lie to people, they don't belong in your village.
So, or they do, but you just can't see it.
That's
so. I mean, some things that you talked about within that, one are a litany of soft skills. So something that I always teach and where I've chosen to center my work currently is around the idea of leadership and soft skills. There are so many leadership programs that teach all these hard skills for specific industries, for specific areas of study, whatever. But what they fail to do are to teach soft skills. It's what makes or breaks a great leader. If you have soft skills, you can lead in so many different arenas. You can have all of this hard knowledge. Like, I know what a time step is in TAP. There are some people who have no clue what that is, but because I know what it is, I literally could probably teach somebody a time step. I know grammar. Because I studied grammar for so long, I can teach people grammar in a classroom. I know qualitative research methods because I spent so much time with them and sat with them for so long, even when I was calling them bad names. I could probably teach someone else about qualitative research methods. But I can have all of that knowledge and then not be able to delegate, or not be able to communicate, or not be able to relationship build, or not be able to team build. And you know what I won't be? A good leader.
Just be smart.
I will be super duper smart, and my intelligence would probably be selfish because nobody would want to learn from me either. But that's cute. But without the soft skills, you're not going to do much as a leader. And what you described in so many different areas, even thinking about the idea of vision, having vision and being able to communicate that vision. But you can only have that vision if you're able to see the big picture and then understand what is needed for that big picture to come to pass. And also understanding that you may not be the one to do all the things. Because I can do a lot of things, but it's a lot of things I don't want to do. I've done because I've had to do it, but I know these other people who do these things incredibly. For you to hear you talk about your village, the Greensboro Kwanzaa Collective, and every time you named the name, my smile got big. It shined bright because I've had the opportunity to meet all of these women and to experience them in their strength area, right? I remember I had already met Mama J, but then I got reintroduced to her at the Grove People's Market, and to see her interact with individuals and to see her become a part of my children's village because of popcorn. Who knew that popcorn was going to be the way? But it was that, and delicious cookies, and then for lemonade tea and whatever else she had at the moment. Nourishment became her way of infiltrating our village, and then she also spoke with us and spoke into us and poured into us during that time. And so, and Mama Dandara, our sister Dandara, depending on where you are in the lineage, to have that experiences with her, with you, but then to experience her as a choreographer and then as a castmate, and now just interacting with her as a village member, and every village member, I've had, Nia was a vendor at the very first Refining the Mind Women's Conference. Tanya has been a speaker and a vendor at conference, just to have all of these different experiences with these women and to hear you talk about their superpowers. It's a beautiful thing. And, in the very first chapter of Stepmom, I wrote that it's all of the first question is, what is in a name? And I conclude the chapter with, what is in a name? Everything. So understanding how to name things. And once you name them, the name carries a certain level of accountability and responsibility. And for you to be named within your village, it's just like the name you are given when you are born, or the name that you choose when you get older, because people change their names all the time for multitudes of reasons. Right. Kujichagulia, self-determination, self-awareness. But to have those things named and to name your village members, and also for them to hear their names. It's one thing for you to name them in your spirit and to provide them and to give them certain expectations and responsibilities in your mind. It's another thing to be able to lead them through communication. For them to understand the role that you need for them to play in your village, because they may carry other names in other places and other villages, because they're not just a member of your village. You named all 5 people who I collected into my village. Like I got them different roles. They play different roles. They play different roles in my village, or they play some of the same roles. And I heard a new, maybe they need to play a different role. But I teach, and so I talk about villages, but I also talk about circles. And I talk about our circles of leadership, or our circles of influence, and our circles of leadership, and the people who sit in different circles. So I talk about circle 1 being you, because you got to learn yourself. Circle 2 being the next closest. Circle 3, circle 4, and I think there's probably a circle 5, 6, 7, 8. But I really talk about 4 levels, and dealing with our village members and where they sit in our circles. Because you talked about your closest, your core village member. I have my core 4, but you have your core village members, and they are these 5 women, right? But then you have other members of your village that are still village tribal members, right? They're members of the tribe, but they're just not as close. So and I think that circle can change, and our circles do change. Absolutely. And we can pull them in at different times. So we've talked about what it takes to get in your village, but how do you choose your village members and where they sit? Like kind of where they're placed. Are they in the orchestra, or are they in the balcony? Are they in the grand tier of the performance of your life?
I look at my village like I would say a house, right? My village is a house, and in everybody's house there are rooms, and so I have this room, and then I can go into another room, and I can go into another room. And in that room, every room in your house has a purpose, right? You have a living room and a dining room and a kitchen and a bathroom and a bedroom, right? And I got a workout room, like I'm in my office. We all have different rooms, and we do different things in those different rooms. I'm still Dawn. whether I'm in the office or the kitchen, right? I'm Dawn who's cooking, or I may be Dawn who's working here, or I may be Dawn who's exercising in that room over there, or I'm Dawn who's sitting and watching the boob tube and just laughing if I'm in the great room, right? Or I'm entertaining company in the living room, or I'm eating dinner and entertaining in the dining room. Like, I'm still me, but I get to be different and exhibit different parts of myself and embrace different parts of my being that I have cultivated in these different rooms. And so I find that for me, my village is more like that. Like, I have different groups, right, who do different things for me, who serve different purposes, right? As Mia, they serve different purposes. And so I have my cultural group, and I have my sorors, right, which is another room, not less important, right? Just different. And that's why I think of it like a house. Like, so this is one room. And when I'm with my sorors, we're doing work in the community. We're loving on one another. We're taking on one another. We're building our leadership skills. I have my diva sisters, right? Which is not less important, just a different group. That's the part of me that's all about me being this incredible academic, intelligent woman, right? With this terminal degree, and we supporting each other as we navigate these spaces, right? And as we navigate and balance education and family and community, right? So there's a different way of being. And so I think that that's an important part of it. I got my homegirls from the Bronx, you know, when I'm there, I'm a different way. It's like code switching, right? And sometimes you code switching depending on what groups you're working, what room in the house I'm visiting at the time. And so I think that's something. And again, that happens authentically. I think it happens kind of naturally, how people just kind of navigate to a space. And I allow that to be intuitive. I allow people to choose what kind of space they want to occupy in my life. And when I say I allow, it's through observation, it's through interaction. You know, I go back to that example of us seeing each other in that movie theater years later. Mm-hmm. The outcome of that interaction meant everything. Right. That was the determinant, because again, we could have seen each other and be like, hey girl, hey, nice to see you again, and then moved on, but we didn't. We decided, yo, I've been looking for you and I'm not letting you go again. Never. You're stuck with me. And it was mutual, right? Mm-hmm. So that then determined that we were going to be in each other's village for real, solidified it, right? And we just kind of fell into place, right? And how we interact, again, determines kind of what room you sit in. Not less important, right? Not less important than this room, just a different room. Sometimes it's not a room that I visit as often, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in my kitchen room. I go to my bedroom for certain things, right? So it just depends on, you know, what my needs are and what friends' needs are. So if I'm smelling something, I'm like, what's that smell? It's coming from the kitchen. The kitchen needs attention. So I got to go and spend some time in this room, right? It's the same thing with the villa, with the people. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, what's going on, sis? Oh, I'm gonna go spend some time over here. And I may not, these people over here may be okay. But, you know, for instance, particularly right now, right, with my GSOC crew, right, my Kwanzaa Collective sisters, we're really taking care of one another right now, because we've experienced this incredibly massive loss, right? Mm-hmm. So we need each other, and we're leaning on each other right now in a way that is particularly necessary. So everybody else is kind of everybody else recognizes and loves and appreciates that. And they're over on the side like, listen, you go ahead, stay in that room over there. I'm good. Right. I got the self-cleaning robot over here. You ain't got to come over here. I'm good. Come over here when you good. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what a village does. Also, they don't get jealous. If I'm spending more time in the kitchen, the living room ain't jealous, right? The living room is like, oh, well, she in the kitchen because she got to be in the kitchen right now. She'll be here. And that, I think, is an important part of being in my village as well. When we think about the people I choose and how I navigate those spaces, I need you to be able to stand on your own. I need you to be confident, have some kujichakulia and know that I love you. And just because I don't talk to you every day, right? Or I didn't come to every show, know that I'm gonna do my best. And if I didn't, it's because I couldn't. Right? It's about trust as well. So that's an important part of my village, right? Know that I'm gonna be here when you need me, but don't take advantage of that. Don't go call it what's the wolf, crying wolf. Don't go crying wolf. Because now I'm gonna start ignoring you, and then you're gonna get kicked out the village. Right?
And so, to that point, so we've talked about coming into the village. We talked about, maintaining, being like village maintenance. So, and I think about, I love that you bring up that moment at the movie theater. I just remember being elated that I got you back. She's back. I found her. And, even to this day, like, our interactions have been so cemented in me. I remember this past weekend, I heard Yolanda Rabin sing downtown Greensboro. She was a part of the Strange Fruit Festival. Mm-hmm. And one of the songs that she sang with her backup singers was For Women. That song is forever a part of our story for me. I cannot hear that song and not think of you. And it was executed beautifully. Big ups. If you have never heard of Yolanda Rabin out there, she is fabulous. She is amazing. She's singing her face and her body off, and her backup singers and her band. Everything's amazing. Experience Yolanda Rabin at some point in time in your life.
And the thing about, let me say this about Yolanda Rabin, is she don't even have to open her mouth. And I was blown away before she even opened her mouth. You just look at it like, okay, I'm gonna move out your way and I'm gonna sit at your feet because you are amazing. Like, she's just, her aura is just,
she is
awesome. She's awesome.
And so another member of my village that I got at a really unique place, but then I got her back. And so it's great. But, having these touch points and say, oh man, even if I wanted to let Dawn go, I could never let her go because she's cemented in my essence. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever want to let you go. Let's just start there. But then there are people, like you said, some people you have to hide or delete or block, whether it be from the local Facebook, the local Instagram, the Snapchat, the TikTok, the LinkedIn, or your life, right? So then there's also, we have to think about what is needed, or what do we need to know, or what do we need to feel, or what do we need to experience to say it is time. Right. It is time for me to release you from my village for whatever reason. When you think about releasing someone, what is your release criteria?
If it's not bringing me peace, if you are causing me more stress, if every time I look at you, I'm getting tensed up, right? If you are, well, I mean, shoot, I think that's enough, right? If you're not there contributing to my peace, you're not bringing some form of some value, then it's time to let go. And sometimes I let that be organic as well. Sometimes it's just, we'll just call each other less. And, sometimes I have to delete a phone number. Thankfully, I haven't had to do a whole lot of that. And also, thankfully, the feeling is typically mutual, right? I'm not one to say, oh, I'm this and everybody want to be in my village and I got to kick people out. Sometimes I don't fit for other people. Sometimes I'm not working in their village. There's sometimes I'm not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. And so I think it does. I think sometimes it's a gradual release. Now, obviously, if it's violent, if it's directly offensive and traumatic, you have to be very clear and just cut people off. And with social media the way it is, Facebook, it's really easy to just unfriend and block, just especially if they don't live in your direct area. So that's really easy to do it that way. But I think you can. I've just stopped, communicating with people. And if I have to, I'll say to them, yeah, this is not working. Whether it's relationship or a friendship, I just, this doesn't really work for me. I think we just see the world different ways, but I want you to really take care of yourself because you're good people. I try to always let people know that they're valuable and they're good people. It's just we're not walking the same path. And that's okay. It's okay for you to walk that path and me to walk this path. Just keep doing your thing, but I can't do that with you. I can't do that with you. And I think the honesty, this whole idea with ghosting people and all that stuff it's damaging. It's damaging to people. I think just tell people if it's going to, sometimes it naturally falls away, right? Like I said, you don't call me, I don't call you, and we see each other in the street and we both look, and if that's mutual, and it's kind of, because that happens too, right? You just kind of act like you don't know nobody. Okay, yeah, you know. But if somebody is reaching out to you and you're ghosting, that's hurtful. Right. And I try not to be hurtful to people. So I try to just say, hey, yeah, listen, I just feel like we moving in different directions as humans. And I think you're awesome, but I think, you know, our circles just don't really blend, you know, and so sometimes it's better just to navigate spaces that way. Yeah. But I'm all for the organic transition most of the time.
I love that organic transition, allowing these things to happen as they should, and releasing, you know, a gentle transition. Like I'm just opening my hands of it. I'm not going to try to hold on to it. I'm just going to allow it to be released. I think about, you know, people who do balloon releases, even though don't do that. We're not supposed to do that anymore. It's horrible for the environment.
Right.
But even like if you're holding, like the years and years ago, Mariah Carey released a song called Butterfly. And she talked about trying to hold on to the butterfly, but you know, she released it, spread your wings and fly, butterfly. And if you were meant to be, you'll come back to me.
Right.
So just like that moment in the movie theater, we released each other without really trying to release each other. It just class ended. And then it was meant to be. That was divine. I truly believe that was a divine order of life. And we were meant to come together at that moment because we needed each other at that moment.
Everything is in divine order. I don't really believe in coincidences.
Right.
I don't think coincidence. I think it's divine. Everything is in divine order. Two things happened at the same time because they were supposed to. And it's okay if you don't necessarily see the lesson or see the purpose, because it will show up. It will manifest. And that's what I believe. I think it will manifest at some point or another. And and sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes maybe you and I needed to see one another so that, or even better, maybe whatever brought us to that movie theater on that day, it might not have been us who were thinking, oh, I'm gonna go to the 3:00 movie theater at Brassfield. It might have been your husband or spouses like, oh, let's go, or the children. I don't want to go. You'd be like, I don't feel like going to that movie. Okay, all right, I'll go. That brought us there. It wasn't even about the children. About, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's how destiny, right, works, or life works, because everything is in divine order. I don't fuss anymore when I'm late for something, because I believe that I'm late for a reason. Like there's something I'm supposed to miss on the highway, on the road. There's something I'm supposed to miss.
Right. And I think too.
Yeah, I stopped getting stressed about, oh my, nah, it's something I'm supposed to miss. And I think about all the time, the roads, driving, something I'm supposed to miss. I'm gonna just go ahead and do this and be okay. Like, you know, you're walking out the door and you drop something. One meeting, and I had a cup here, at the back, and fell coming out of my house and scraped my arm on the. So like it was to the point where I had to go. I didn't have to change my clothes, but I had to I had cuts on my arm from scraping. OMG. I was like, what in the world just happened? The same step I walk down every day. Today I fall. And I said, something I'm supposed to be missing. I'm not supposed to get to this meeting at the time I'm getting. So let me go in here and they'll be all right. I sent them an email. I'm running 15 minutes late. I failed. Right. And everything was okay. So I just believe that. I've just come to, I used to get real stressed about being on time, but now everything is in divine order. We're all going to be at that place when we're supposed to be.
Right. And I will say, okay, to my good people out here who are habitually late, there's divine order and then there's disrespect. So what you're not going to do today is take the words of Dr. Dawn and use them to be foolish. We are not doing that today. Somebody just in their mind took a moment and said, oh, yes, that is me. Nope. I'm about to leave my village. Your own leadership live. You're likely in the village or on the way. So I'm telling you this now. We shall not use those words as an excuse to be late and disrespectful. It's one thing for it to be divine, because I have seen accidents that happened before I got there. So I believe that I'm there when I'm supposed to be there. But especially performers, you know your call time. Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
I think you're gonna hit that stage. That's not what I'm saying. That's gonna be the lesson that you learned that day. Don't miss out because you chose otherwise. Because free will is real. You have the free will to choose.
Right.
But what Dr. Dawn is really saying,
right? Because sometimes your lateness is making a way for somebody else to step in. So you got to be mindful about that too. If you habitually late and you missing, now the understudy gets to do their thing, right? And now and then that was the day that the Broadway producer was in the audience there to see you, and they're going to see them instead of you. Now, hey, if you're good with that, that's good. Yeah, but come on, like you said, be honest, real, and be authentic and real in your walk. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, thank God. That's why I'm always late. And Dr. Dawn said it. No, I'm talking about honoring the universe. And like I said, I am genuinely 99% of the time very much on time. For everything I do. My classes start if class at 11 o'clock. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Right? I'm on time, but I'm just saying when those instances, when something happens in particular, and I'm not just talking about sleeping late, I'm talking about something, how sometimes it's like your cup just jumps out your hand. It's like, like I said, the step that I have never fallen on the step again.
Wow. There
was something about that I was supposed to miss. And that's what I'm talking about. Those once in a while things that happen that shake you up. And so, yeah.
But I know somebody listening was about to run with that, and I had to head that off at the pass. Facts, truth. Love the story, but don't for those who thought you were going to use it for evil, not on my watch. Not today.
Don't do it, friends. Don't do it.
But as we are wrapping up our time together, talking about leading by example, talking about being, and I'm going to put a plug in for my new book, but it's not even out yet, but it's coming soon, to be village minded. Mm-hmm. You talked about the different rooms where your tribal members reside. And you talked about being Dawn in every one of those rooms. For our last thought today, if you had to advise someone, because she's an advisor, we talked about that in our last time together. So if you have not listened to Love, Eat, Build, Your Path to Peace, go ahead and listen to those 2 episodes. They're amazing. But you are an advisor. If you had to advise someone who too had multiple rooms in their village, and they had different tribal members in different rooms, how would you advise them? Or what words of wisdom would you provide them? How do you show up authentically as Dawn in every one of those rooms? Also understanding that, and I think about our Diva sisters, and I think about your sorority members, some of them overlap. And so they get to see you show up in different rooms. How do you remain authentically you while still speaking the language of the rooms you're in?
When I tell you, everything comes down. That is the foundation. If I'm doing the work, the inner work, if I lead with self-love and self-awareness and an understanding of who I am as a human being who was raced and RACED, right? I'm Black. I'm an African American woman. That's my culture. My race is Black, right? If race and gendered, I'm a cis woman. If I have a deep and cultural innate understanding, an intentional understanding of who I am, then I can be in different spaces comfortably, because I'm never navigate. I understand all the parts of me. I understand that I am Dawn, and I'm also a dancer, and I'm also an educator, and I'm also a Bronx girl, and I'm also an AKA, and I'm also, right, a Kwanzaa, the Kwanzaa queen, right? I'm all of those things. I'm all of those things. I'm not just every single time you meet me, I'm all of those things. It's just I may be leading with one particular part of me, right? When I go to my sorority meetings, where I'm not, we're not necessarily talking about, we're not planning Kwanzaa. So that's not the conversation. We're having different conversations, right? It's about time and place, right? When I teach language and we talk about being culturally responsive, it's like language, for instance, you talk about grammar earlier. It's not about right or wrong. Like people like to say, oh, you speak proper English. No, there's no such thing as proper English. It's standard American English. Mm-hmm. So the standard English, and then there's non-standard English. And then again, it's a standard American English, because English in England, right, is different. We want to say proper, but guess what, hon? This ain't proper what we speaking in this here country. The British looking at us like, what are y'all saying? Right. And then we have all these dialects and broken English and Ebonics and African American vernacular English and all these beautiful Southern dialects and Northern dialects and slang and all of this stuff. How can it be wrong the way anybody speaks? You gonna tell Beulah that she's speaking wrong?
I wish you would.
I wish you would. Right? Language is about time and place. It's appropriate for who you're talking to, right? Where you are, who you are, and who you're interacting with. That's what language shows. It's the same thing with me in my village and navigating these spaces. I'm always me. I'm always me, and everybody who knows me knows of all the parts. Right. But depending on what their role is in my life, and what role I play in their life, they may not be interested in that part over there. They may be interested in this part, and that's okay. That's okay, because this is, you know what I mean? It's how we navigate. Now they need to know and respect that part, right? They can't be like, ew, you a dancer? Like, that's not going to work, because that's a part of who I am. But if we're not dancing when we're dancing, that's okay too. You know what I mean? But don't be mad when I just break out and dance when the song comes on. Get it. So what we were talking about, right? Like they see it, they love it, they respect it, and then it's like, okay, girl, what we doing? So I think that's it. It really just starts with Kujichagulia. It starts with this self-determination, this deep, pure, honest understanding and appreciation for who I am as a human, as all the parts of me, and honoring all the parts of me in everything I do. And I don't do anything that I don't feel that takes me outside of who I am. Mm-hmm. None of the rooms they're all in this house. Think about it, right? All the rooms in your house may look different. They may have different decorations or whatever, but there's aspects of you in every room. Absolutely. Just because it serves a different purpose, just because you eat in one room and you sleep in another room doesn't mean they both not your rooms. And you can go to both of those rooms. Right? So it's the same thing. It starts with Kujichagulia. Who am I? Am I who I say I am? And am I all I ought to be? And I take that with me everywhere. And everybody I interact with is respectful of that and mindful of that. And that's how we do. This is how we do it. This is how we do it.
The fact being that I could fully expect to be able to dance when that happened, and expect it, be able and expect it to. Yes, it's because I have had the experience of multifacets of Dr. Dawn in so many different places, in so many different ways. And I am honored to be a part of your village. I'm honored to be led by you in your village and also have a leadership role in your village.
I say, and I am honored. The honor is mine. It's mutual. It's mutual.
Absolutely. Well, so for everyone out there, I hope that you have enjoyed this topic on Leadership Live, enjoyed our month with Dr. Dawn, because we have had her for a full month. I am so excited to be able to share you with my virtual village and know that I am always excited to watch you keep your leadership live. And it's my hope that everyone watching will keep your leadership live at all times, starting with yourself and being aware and determined to be who you are at all times. So know that I love you. I'll see you next week with a new guest. Bye.